It was a quiet afternoon in the little town of Whiskerville. Birds chirped, leaves rustled, and in the Jones kitchen, chaos was about to unfold. Rico, the family's mischievous tabby cat, was perched on the counter, his amber eyes locked on a steaming pan of lasagna cooling on the stove. To Rico, the lasagna wasn't just food. It was the holy grail of all smells. A combination of melted cheese, rich tomato sauce, and beefy goodness. He licked his lips. This, Rico thought, is the moment I've trained for my entire life. But there was a problem. Mrs. Jones, armed with a spatula and eyes like a hawk, was in the kitchen, humming as she set the table. Rico knew she was his greatest adversary. She'd thwarted his tuna escapades, intercepted stolen chicken wings, and once, horrifyingly, caught him mid-lick in a bowl of pancake batter. But today, Rico was determined to win. Rico leaped gracefully onto the windowsill and gave his loudest, most pitiful meow directed at the backyard. Mrs. Jones turned, squinting outside. "What is it, Rico? A squirrel? Another bird?" She shook her head. "Silly cat." While she was momentarily distracted, Rico slinked down from the sill and onto the kitchen island, moving like a furry ninja. But Mrs. Jones turned back too quickly, catching him in the act. "Rico!" she exclaimed, wagging the spatula. Rico froze, feigning innocence. He stretched, gave an exaggerated yawn, and sauntered off like he had no interest in lasagna whatsoever. Enter Bella, the Jones golden retriever and unwitting accomplice. Rico sauntered over to Bella's bed and whispered his plan. Bella tilted her head confused, but agreed after Rico promised her a share of the loot. Bella trotted into the kitchen and unleashed her secret weapon, puppy dog eyes. She sat by Mrs. Jones, wagging her tail and whining softly. "Oh, Bella, you want a treat?" Mrs. Jones cooed, bending down to grab a biscuit. This was Rico's moment. As Mrs. Jones fussed over Bella, Rico darted back to the stove. He stretched up, claws out, and snagged the corner of the lasagna pan with his paw. It wobbled dangerously. Rico's heart pounded. He needed just one more nudge. Crash! The pan hit the floor, spilling its cheesy treasure everywhere. Rico dove in, devouring a mouthful before Mrs. Jones could react. Bella, now understanding the plan, joined him, tail wagging as she lapped up sauce. "Rico! Bella!" Mrs. Jones shouted, but it was too late. The duo had claimed victory. Rico licked his whiskers triumphantly, his belly full and his fur speckled with sauce. Later that evening, Rico lounged on the couch, purring contentedly. Sure, he was in the doghouse, figuratively, for the rest of the week, but it was worth it. The Great Lasagna Heist would go down in Whiskerville history. As for Mrs. Jones, she now knew never to leave lasagna unattended when Rico was around.